Subrata Ghosh reached the summit on the afternoon of 15th May and was on his way back down when he died just below the Hillary Step, located at an altitude of around 28,839 feet, where oxygen levels are critically low. This is Green Boots, the body of Swang Paljor, a young Indian climber who died in a 1996 blizzard while climbing Mount Everest. Nearly 200 of the 340 people who have died on Mount Everest are still there. Every year, around 600 climbers summit Mount Everest, while the numbers vary year to year. While there isn't a formal waiting list for permits, the high demand and limited climbing windows often lead to congestion on the mountain, especially during peak seasons. The youngest person to summit Mount Everest is Jordan Romero, an American climber who climbed the peak in 2010 at the age of just 13 years. A 45-year-old climber, Subrata Ghosh from India, died on Mount Everest on 15th May 2025. His Sherpa guide Champal Tamang said, Ghosh refused to turn back after showing signs of altitude sickness and exhaustion. Subrata Ghosh reached the summit on the afternoon of 15th May and was on his way back down when he died just below the Hillary Step, located at an altitude of around 28,839 feet, where oxygen levels are critically low. As of publishing this report, the Ghosh family and the Nepal Tourism Department were working to bring his body so that it could be given a proper farewell. Every year, 8 to 10 mountaineers lose their lives on Mount Everest, overcome by exhaustion, lack of oxygen, and the immense challenges that test every step forward its summit. This is Green Boots, the body of Swang Paljor, a young Indian climber who died in a 1996 blizzard while climbing Mount Everest. Now, for over 29 years, his body still remains on the northeast route at an altitude of around 27,900 feet and has become a landmark for the climbers. To reach the summit from the north side, climbers said they had to step over frozen legs believed to be his. Paljor was wearing green boots during his last expedition, and now it has earned his body the nickname Green Boots. He is not alone. The body of Frances Arsentive, known as Sleeping Beauty, rests on the Mount Everest north side near the northeast ridge route. She died during her descent in 1998, and it became her final resting place. Her appearance inspired climbers to give her the nickname Sleeping Beauty. As of May 2025, over 340 climbers have died on Mount Everest since the first recorded fatalities in 1922. This number includes both climbers and Sherpa guides. Sherpas are expert mountain helpers from Nepal who accompany climbers on expeditions and act as guides. They also carry gear, set up camps, fix ropes and ladders, and help keep climbers safe in the tough, high-altitude expeditions. Nearly 200 of the 340 people who have died on Mount Everest are still there, as retrieving a body from the peak is an incredibly difficult, dangerous, and expensive task. That's why it often could cost up to Rs 85 lakhs to recover a body from the world's highest peak. Most of the bodies that have not been retrieved are resting in the death zone, the harsh region above 25,000 feet in the Himalayas, where oxygen levels are just a third of those at sea level. The treacherous terrain and the extreme conditions make recovery efforts extremely difficult and dangerous. Mount Everest's climbing route is divided into key camps at various altitudes. The base camp is located at around 17,600 feet, which acts as the main staging point for the entire expedition, followed by Camp 1 at 19,900 feet, which is an entry point to the upper mountain, located above the Khumbu icefall. Camp 2 at 21,000 feet acts as an advanced base for climbing and logistical hub. Camp 3 at 23,500 feet is a high-altitude camp located on the Lhotse face. And Camp 4, the final camp before the summit, at a staggering 26,000 feet right in the death zone. The summit of Everest stands at around 29,000 feet, making it the highest point on Earth. To put that into perspective, imagine stacking 49 statues of unity, one of which is 597 feet tall, one over the other. That's how high Everest reaches into the sky. Back in 2019, Abdul Waraich, a 41-year-old climber from Switzerland, and American Powell Liu, who was 55 years old, died of exhaustion while descending the slopes of Mount Everest.
Both of the dead bodies are above 8,000 meters. Now one is like 7,950, which is already considered as a death zone, and another one at 8,700 meters. We'll look for another favorable weather. If the weather permits, we'll bring both bodies down.
While their bodies were recovered and brought back by the expedition company, not everyone who dies on the Everest is granted the privilege of a proper farewell. The immense risks and challenges involved in the body retrieval makes it nearly impossible in most cases. Even when bodies are located, they are often found frozen solid in ice, requiring careful extraction, sometimes chiseling out heavy masses weighing up to 150 kilograms due to accumulated ice. A team of 6 to 12 experienced Sherpa rescuers is typically needed for the task, with multiple oxygen cylinders adding to the expense. Even most helicopters can't go beyond Camp 2, which is located at around 21,000 feet. Only specialized high-altitude helicopters can operate beyond Camp 2, as it is engineered to perform in extremely thin air with low lift capacity, strong winds and dangerous terrain. After Camp 2, which is located at 21,000 feet, most of the descent must be done by foot by Sherpas. The distance that they have to cover manually is around 3.5 to 4.5 kilometers depending on the route taken. This journey from the death zone to Camp 2 can take several days in unpredictable weather conditions with freezing temperatures and high winds posing constant threats. Furthermore, the physical toll on rescuers is immense. There have been instances where rescue team members have died during body recovery missions. Two Sherpas, 36-year-old Yogendra Bahadur Thapa and 35-year-old Ang Dorji, died in 1984 during an attempt to recover the body of a 39-year-old German mountaineer, Hannelore Schmatz, who died because of exhaustion and frostbite on her way back from the summit. Mount Everest expeditions are coordinated under the authority of the country where the climb begins. So in case of a successful descent, the Nepal Tourism Department, along with the expedition company, notifies the family and arranges for transport. The task concludes with documentation, helping to provide closure for the family. Due to extreme risks involved, climbers attempting Mount Everest are strongly advised by both the Nepal Tourism Department and expedition companies to have specialized insurance. Standard travel insurance typically doesn't cover activities above 20,000 feet, so climbers must purchase high altitude or expedition-specific policies that include medical evacuation, emergency rescue, including helicopter evacuations, all of which can cost up to 34 lakh rupees. While some families choose to bring their loved ones home for cultural or personal closure, others opt to leave them on the mountain, acknowledging the risks involved and honoring the climber's passion. The Nepal Tourism Department has been actively implementing measures to reduce fatalities on Mount Everest, particularly in response to the record high death toll in 2023. For climbers to qualify to make the climb, they must have prior high-altitude climbing experience made mandatory by the Nepal government, requiring climbers to carry rescue trekking equipment such as a trekking device to enhance safety and facilitate prompt search and rescue operations in case of emergencies. It has also proposed limits on the number of permits issued each season. Permit fees are also set to increase to better regulate the flow of climbers. While a typical expedition to summit Everest costs between Rs 30 to 60 lakhs, the cost of retrieving a body can range from Rs 34 to 84 lakhs, depending upon the location of the body, weather conditions and resources required. Every year, around 600 climbers summit Mount Everest, while the numbers vary year to year. While there isn't a formal waiting list for permits, the high demand and limited climbing windows often lead to congestion on the mountain, especially during peak seasons. Expeditions typically proceed in groups, with sizes varying based on the guiding company and route. Some operators maintain small teams of 3 to 6 members to ensure personalized attention, while others manage larger groups of up to 15 trekkers. In 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa of Nepal, were the first people to successfully summit Mount Everest. Their historic ascent marked one of the greatest achievements in mountaineering history. The youngest person to summit Mount Everest is Jordan Romero, an American climber who climbed the peak in 2010 at the age of just 13 years. Since Nepal prohibits climbers under 16 from attempting Mount Everest, Romero ascended from the Tibetan side, accompanied by his father, stepmother, and 3 Sherpas. Although climbing Mount Everest comes with immense difficulties and dangers, people still choose to pursue it, driven by their passion to fulfill their dream. And no matter how difficult it gets, we will keep seeing climbers risk everything just to be on top of the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest.